TGCRequiem, we are back with more back with more Grixis Reanimator. Just looking at our opponent's name. Quite interesting. We're going to be on the play. So we're playing Grixis Reanimator this week for a couple reasons. One, sorry, I'm just looking at this hand trying to think. So one, basically, I just was in the mood to kind of cheat in some Emrakul's and Grizzlebrains, and two, I put this on a poll to see if on my Twitter, bottom right hand corner, I'll do polls every so often to give a couple choices of decks for recording, and this was what had won out of the vote. Probably would have played this very soon thereafter if it hadn't won this week, but yeah, I don't know. On the play, maybe this is okay. You know, we're not super busted here. You know, we can definitely get into situations where the land makes a difference, and so I think I'm going to keep this. It's certainly not the most explosive hand, but against an unknown opponent, having access to the mana just may be more relevant. So I'm going to actually start on Polluted Delta. Since we have a red-blue land already, I'm just going to go for the Watery Grave, Serum Visions. I'm going to put the Swamp on the bottom. We'll keep the Brutality on top just depending on what our opponent draws. We certainly can kind of set up a scenario where if we draw into Goryo's Vengeance, we could use Collective Brutality to pitch Emrakul while killing one of their creatures. Or if this is against Burn, maybe. Oh yeah, Burn. So this could actually be, Collective Brutality could be pretty good here. The only problem is we don't really want to pitch Emrakul quite yet. Actually, probably should have played Polluted Delta there, but I guess we could peer through depths on end step. We're still kind of 2 turns away. So I think we definitely just want to take the opportunity to peer here. We're going to do it anyway. Play it before the Eidolon gets onto the battlefield. Goryo's Vengeance is exactly what we're looking for. And just hopefully this Goblin Guide hits a land, and then that allows us to, you know, alright, so we've got a couple choices here. I think we just are going to end up pitching. We're going to Collective Brutality, the Eidolon, ripping a spell and gaining 2 life while they lose 2 life. We can pitch an Emrakul and potentially another land, but then that leaves us in a risky spot of needing a land. I think we're just going to have to... I mean, we absolutely need the land. So I think what we're looking at is potentially next turn. We still have to kill the Eidolon, however, because we are going to cast Izzet Charm into Goryo's Vengeance to get the Emrakul on the battlefield. So I think we just Collective Brutality the Eidolon, gain 2 life, lose 2 life. They're doing 4. Could do up to 10. If they have a land, they could do up to 13 next turn. Of course, that's if they have a creature on the battlefield. Yeah, I think we're going to just do 2 modes here. So killing the creature and gain life. And then the hope here is that the Emrakul is going to be lethal. Should be really no reason it wouldn't be. The threat is just if they are able to I mean, if that's all they got, then we're going to get through this. This will be a win. First one reveals a sleight of hand. We don't need that. So we're just going to try and draw into some extra lands this way. Next reveal, Simian Spirit Guide. Great, so now we don't even have to crack a fetch. And then again, we'll be able to Goryo's Vengeance the Emrakul while the shuffle trigger's on the stack, which will allow us to attack for 15 this turn. Then the shuffle trigger still occurs, so we'll have to shuffle the graveyard away. But again, this is 15 damage, and the opponent has to sacrifice their entire board, so... I mean, it's the 15 damage. We needed the win this turn. If they were to top deck, their odds of top decking, you know, a land to get their burn is probably higher than ours' ability to draw into something relevant in time. So... we know our opponent is going to have some instants, so Dispel can be pretty good. Anger of the Gods could be okay, but I don't know that's something we really want to do. I would bring in an Echoing Truth. It's possible they're going to bring in like a Rest in Peace against us, and worst case it can maybe buy some time against some attacking creatures. I also think Fatal Push is probably decent. Thoughtseize is okay. Obviously there's life loss built into the card, but not the biggest deal. Jace Vryn's Prodigy, so they can Path to Exile Grizzlebrand. It's possible Jace may even be worth it to just buy time and help filter. Absolutely want our Collective Brutalities. Liliana seems a little too slow in this matchup. I feel like that's an easy pull. We definitely want to be fast, so even though we do run a risk of the opponent getting like a rest in peace, I don't know that I necessarily want to pull Faithless Looting or Goryo's Vengeance in this particular matchup because they're fast enough that we need to just be fast. So in that regard, I don't know that we're gonna... Yeah, I feel like we still need to bring in the Echoing Truth. Through the Breach is a little less likely. I don't know that we want to pull it though. So maybe we just don't have time to peer through depths or Serum Visions. That buys us a little bit. We could potentially cut like an Is It Charm, but it is such good removal and counter magic against their spells. I think we're just going to end up possibly cutting a Simian Spirit Guide here, and then maybe... I think we're just going to go 2 of these. It's possible we actually want to cut like a Grizzlebrand here, but Grizzlebrand also you can, you know, bring it in as a blocker to gain life, although they can be clever and kill their own creature, which will negate the life gain. I actually feel like this is a hand we want to keep. We're on the draw, painless land. We're going to be able to do sleight of hand. Possibly counter a spell. I think this is a keepable 7. On the draw, I'm just going to assume we're going to be a little bit of dogs anyway. Who knows, maybe we'll get a free land here. Another Dispel. So I'd be more worried our opponent's going to go creature or Eidolon next turn, so I really just want to use the slate to try and get or the sleight of hand to try and get a land. So we're going to definitely pick up the Delta here. Delta will be great because we can go get a Swamp for Goryo's Vengeance specifically. And we just kind of ideally draw into like a Grizzlebrand so we can pitch it to Collective Brutality next turn. Bolt. Is it Charm? Okay, so I feel like we want to Collective Brutality with Swift Spear, Goblin Guide. I feel like every turn from here after Swift Spear is going to do at least as much damage as Goblin Guide. At the same token, it's harder to kill with the toughness being able to go up. And the only real problem we have here is we can't fetch for just a basic swamp. If we do, we're going to be off the ability to cast Is It Charm, so we actually need to spend the life here, which is going to offset part of the Collective Brutality, to go get a Watery Grave. Now, I feel like we probably want to do all 3 modes here. We want to keep Goryo's Vengeance. I think we want to keep... it's possible we just want to toss Through the Breach. We're kind of a ways off. And then the question is, do we pitch a Dispel or an Is It Charm? And I think at this point, we probably pitch an Is It Charm. It's better against a spell like rest in peace, however. But we have access to double blue for double dispel. However, our opponent also has plenty of sorceries. Still think this is the right play. So I think we definitely want to take their Lightning Helix. Want to make sure that we get close to killing them. Boros Charm does do a little more damage. But we're kind of a little bit in a risk of, in my opinion, we're a little bit more at risk of our opponent basically just having too much life to live through in Emrakul and then finishing us off before we can build up the resources again. Darkslick Shores is a phenomenal draw. Opponent kind of is in a situation where they have to Boros Charm now, especially now that they know we have another land to counter. We can Izzet Charm to kill the Goblin Guide post-combat. That unfortunately takes away our ability to discard those. So I think we're just going to have to hold on here. We'll see what our top spell is before we determine if we need to Izzet Charm. Or the top card of our library. Faithless Looting. So that gives us a chance. I mean, we're talking about very narrow outs, but Faithless Looting allows us to draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards, which means we could also Goryo's Vengeance same turn. So now we can actually kill one of these Goblin Guides. And we still have Dispel up in case the opponent has like a bolt. If they have a sorcery speed removal or a counterspell, we're just in big trouble. So we're going to discard a Vengeance and a Dispel here. We need to go get a Swamp. Play the Serum Visions. Actually, I think we're just dead. There's really almost nothing we can draw. Yep, so we're just going to concede. I think we'll just let our opponent do whatever they're going to do. I mean, maybe make them a little scared. I doubt it. Ah, Emrakul. If we had just gotten it with that first Faithless Looting. So close. And then that's lethal. So we will lose this game and then go on to game 3 here. In past life, I've played this deck with Leyline of Sanctity against Bird, and that's pretty effective too. Out of the sideboard. Probably pretty effective in general right now with all the hand disruption and whatnot. I think we... okay, Simian Spirit Guide. I feel like I don't want to play Echoing Truth right now. I think I'd rather have a Serum Visions back in. But otherwise, I think I'm good with that. Through the Breach. Still think we want all of the Through the Breaches here. And it's possible we could consider bringing in like a single Anger of the Gods. Maybe more valuable than the 4th Is It Charm here. This is pretty good. We can lead on Slay, and then that gets us to Faithless Lootings the next turn once we draw on a little more. I think this is an easy keep. Okay, we definitely want Goryo's Vengeance. Grizzlebrand's great, however, we have plenty of other ways to draw into the creatures we need and discard them, so Goryo's in hand. We're going to hope our opponent runs out another guide and then draws us some land. Emrakul is also pretty decent here. So in this case we really just need to get another land. So Fatal Push is great. So now we have the ability next turn to Faithless Looting and Goryo's Vengeance. Emrakul. With that plan, I think we can pitch Fatal Push. We need the land to do this. So the question is between Through the Breach and Is It Charm. And I think right now we would rather not have... I would rather have Through the Breach, because if our opponent ends up dropping like a Rest in Peace this turn, then that line is no longer good. So I think we discard Is It Charm and push. The intent is that Emrakul is going to effectively beat our push. So if the opponent has a Rest in Peace, they need it right now. Most ideal situation for us is Goblin Guide draws us another land, and then we're even closer to Through the Breach. Simian Spirit Guide would probably be acceptable, but... oh, yet another Faithless Looting. Wow. Alright, so... yeah... Our opponent is very much acting like they have Deflecting Palm. And therefore, I feel like it would be unwise at this moment to just jam Emrakul. I think we just want to... probably Faithless Looting out of the graveyard here. our opponent ends up giving us quite a bit of time if they wait, and we can always do this on their end step, but not with Faithless Looting. So I'm just trying to draw to a Through the Breach. It's not a whole lot different from Gore's Vengeance. The risk we have here is we are potentially letting our opponent draw into a Deflecting Palm if they don't already have a Deflecting Palm. Emrakul can actually be Deflecting Palm because the way that Deflecting Palm is worded. It basically says any creature instead of target creature. We're just trying to show some weakness here, and that way our opponent will hopefully tap out enough that we know that Deflecting Palm's not in hand. You know, the best possible thing we could get is a Collective Brutality right now. Izzet Charm is decent. We could counter a Deflecting Palm. As it is, I think we just kind of have to pass. Fortunately, it doesn't take much for our opponent to just kill us this turn. We almost maybe need to just go for it here. So our opponent's going to do at least 2 points of damage from the Goblin Guide, right? We can kill it with Fatal Push and still hold Izzet Charm to maybe counter a spell. So it's not like we're completely dead this turn if they were to go off. But they also could just fire off 7 points of damage with like a Boros Charm and a Lightning Bolt. They're going to untap, so they could Boros Charm here. I almost just feel like if we don't go for it right here, we're kind of donezo McGrenzo. We could lose to Deflecting Palm, but we almost certainly lose to inaction at this point. Ugh. If we had just drawn a land there, we would have been able to both pull off the combo and counter a Deflecting Palm. As it is, we are going to play this as if we have a Dispel. We don't. Certainly has our opponent considering, but really, I mean, so basically what the opponent might be considering as well, if my opponent has a Dispel, then at this point maybe I just take the hit from Emrakul and then try and draw a land, and then finish my opponent off that way. And so they're fetching here. Here comes the deflecting palm. No, Skullcrack, so they don't actually have a deflecting palm. So we might still be in this one. They may already have a land. As it is, with one land, it's going to take them at least 2 spells, so if we can draw into something great, we might still be able to pull this off. Just hoping for the opponent to pass here. They did hit a land. If it's a creature, we have Izzet Charm. Maybe they only have 2 CMC spells. I'm kind of assuming we're going to get like a Rift Bolt suspended here. Goblin Guide. Hit a land. Through the Breach is about the worst draw we could get. So we're kind of in a spot where we could we can Izzet Charm, hope to hit a Simian Spirit Guide and a creature, and then pitch the 2 through the breaches, and then that would allow us to Goryo's Vengeance the creature. Even if it's just Grizzlebrand, that might be enough to gain the 7 life and buy some more time. We can also Izzet Charm the Guide and hope the opponent doesn't have another 1 CMC spell, but if they do, we're essentially done. The odds of them having a 1 CMC spell are pretty high, or to draw into 1. And if they have 2 CMC spells, then drawing a land is just as likely to get them there anyway. I feel like where we are, we just kind of have to go for this. And at this point, I mean, I suppose the other thing is, if we hit like a Grizzlebrand and a land, that works, or a Grizzlebrand and a Simian Spirit Guide. We could also hit Simian Spirit Guide and Emrakul, but a land and Emrakul will not do it. Nope. Alright, so that's unfortunately game. It was a good one. We are going to lose 1-2 to burn here. But we were awfully close. Makes me wonder if we would have been better off to just run that Emrakul out right away. I mean, certainly it seems like it would have been, but just kind of hoping the opponent will fire off a spell, but just to let us know. Sleight of Hand, yeah, so we're not in it. Alright, well, hopefully you enjoy it. Again, if you like, you can subscribe. Clicking on my face in the middle there. The next match in the league will be on the left, and the link to the playlist will be on the right. See you next match.